Oh man, Superman 1978. Man, was this film a classic? I can't actually recall how many times I've ever seen this film, but it was sure a lot. The film to me still today is a classic and one of my favorite movies of all time. The film stars an outstanding cast. Excuse me about that. An outstanding cast with Christopher Reeves as the star role of Superman, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, and also Marlo Brandon, if I can pronounce his name right. Yes, Marlo Brando as Jor-El. The movie is directed by Richard Donner and is produced by Alexander Salkind, if I can pronounce it right, and many other people produced it too. The movie itself, it's actually a pretty good story. As some people these days say it's very campy and outlandish, but I still think it's a pretty good Superman movie and still fun to watch. Superman itself has got pretty much something for everyone. You know, a little bit of everyone that pretty much everyone would like. But, you know, those are just my opinions, I guess. Let's talk about the movie first. The movie would star on Earth, but it actually takes place on Krypton, and we see Jor-El prosecuting General Zod and also Ursa Anon to the Phantom Zone. Shortly after that, Jor-El is sent to the Council to talk about his beliefs about Krypton being blown up. The Council disagrees and tells him not to spread the fears of the planet being blown up, and they shall not leave the planet either. So what they do is that they send their son Kor-El into a spaceship and they fire him off the Earth. Then after that, the ship lands on Earth and he finds a country couple called Martha and Jonathan Kent, and he goes under the name Clark Kent. And then throughout those scenes, you see him throughout his childhood, when he's a teenager, and dealing with the problems of pretty much being an outcast. After that, we see him in Metropolis, and he gets a job at the Daily Planet and goes under, once again, the identity of Clark Kent. And Clark Kent is pretty much a really wimpy and guy who could possibly not be Superman, but then he's the exact opposite when he becomes Superman. And you see him stop crime throughout these scenes in Metropolis and saves Lois from a helicopter and many more. He even stops a gunfight at Metropolis Harbor too. And I think that's the only one I can really recall at. And then after that, when Superman arrives, he introduces Lois's love for Superman, and also Lex Luthor's hate for Superman. And then finally Superman meets Lex Luthor in his little, I guess you could say, bunker, and Lex Luthor, for some reason, somehow finds the weakness that Superman has, kryptonite. And of course, as you all know, Superman will get really weak and he falls in the pool and pretty much almost drowns himself. Lucky to her assistant, I forgot what her name is, she helps him up and in promise of saving her city from the missile, helps Superman up, gets him off the kryptonite, and he flies to stop the two missiles. And I also forgot, Lex Luthor has two missiles heading for the San Andreas Fault and also one heading for New Jersey. And also earlier in the movie, I forgot to mention, Lex Luthor's plan was to shoot the missile to the San Andreas Fault to get more coastal land and more profits for him. And he also purchased the land too, so I guess I don't really know what that makes a difference. So Superman flies, he stops the two missiles, he stops the one from New Jersey and stops the one from San Andreas, though there's one thing he forgot about, and that was Lois Lane. And Lois Lane, well, she falls in an earthquake and dies. And Superman, of course, as you all know, would get very pissed off because it's her love, and yeah, he does one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen in my life, and that is he flies around the world so many times to the point where it doesn't allow physics to prove the point, but to reverse time somehow and reverse everything that happens. And does that mean that he has to stop the two missiles again? Well, in the movie they don't show that, but I guess he did do that already, and he saves Lois from the earthquake, and there you go. And then after that, you see Lex Luthor at the end. He goes to jail. Happy ending. So after that, so overall, from watching the movie from there, Superman sounded like a really good. Superman was a good movie overall. I didn't really have too many gripes about this movie. First off, one of the things I didn't really like about this movie, one of my flaws, is that how can you fly around the Earth and somehow reverse time? It doesn't make no sense. But though, as I said, it's still entertaining to watch. Though that also reveals the point that he stopped the 2 missiles and then he also reversed the Earth. So does that mean that he has the power and speed to actually save Lois too? I don't know. Another thing I didn't really, well, I guess you could say a flaw of the movie is that the campiness. Some people complain about the campiness. Yes, the campiness was because of Superman, and it does feel a little campy at some times, especially with Lex Luthor. But that does, excuse me, why did I say that? That doesn't really bother me too much, to the point where I just don't like the movie anymore. So overall, Superman is a great movie. It's a really iconic movie, and one of my favorite classical movies of all time. I think in the future, if I get really on the roll of all these movie reviews, I still maybe will review the sequels, maybe. But as I said, I gotta wait till these movies pick off the ground. Superman is once again a really great movie. And Superman, he also had a couple other sequels. I'm gonna review them in the future. Superman 2 is pretty much when Zod comes to Earth and starts wrecking up everything, and Superman has to stop him. And Superman 3 and 4, well, let's just say they ruined the franchise of Superman. And then we also got Superman Returns, and I guess you could say it's a semi-sequel because it ignores 3 and 4. And I've already seen that movie, and I will do a review of it in the future, but it has a different actor, I'm going to let you know that. So overall, Superman is a really great classic movie. And hopefully you guys liked this movie review, because I brought it to you and I worked real hard on it. But as I said, thank you for watching this video, and I'm going to give this film a rating of 9 out of 10. And I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. It doesn't deserve 10 out of 10 because it still has some flaws. But it does deserve a 9 out of 10 because it's a classic and it inspired so many superhero movies today. And yeah, that's my movie review of Superman 1978.